I dream fat kid thoughts, man. You can't relate to my dreams all the time. You don't understand the fat kid life.
Tell me about the fat kid that lives between these ears. It actually lives between these ears and from neck to toe right now. Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I'm getting sick of staring at the 340s.
Yeah. Me too.
I look, when I saw the results for this week, I thought back to what I've been telling you over the past few weeks, which is that if we keep that 2 pounds a week up for the next year, it'd be down 100 pounds. So I'm looking at this week at 0.9 pounds, and I'm envisioning myself saying, if we keep this up for the next year, we'll be in the 290s. And I don't know if that's going to go over so well with Jeff. I don't know if his motivation is going to go up high enough for him to show up next week. So I want to know what happened this week to bring the results of a 340-pound man down to 0.9 pounds in a 7-day period, because there's a reason behind that. And I think you could probably fill me in. I could come up in my own head as to what it might involve, but I want you to just go ahead and give me a description of what this week was like.
Okay. There was a lot of experimentation going on this week, and yeah, so there's no good excuses. This was not.
Tell me about the experimentation. I want to know what you experimented with. I know the results.
Yeah,
and the results.
So,
listen, it didn't go up. I will tell you this: it could have been 341.1.
Right.
342.1. It could have been higher than last week. It could have been an increase, and it was a decrease. So it did go down. So I don't know if you consider that a win for the experimentation that you did.
I actually do, and I'll tell you why.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, tell me what the experimentation was. What did you do this week that led to these results?
All right. So the week itself, during the week, ended up being a crazy week where I had late nights every single night, work-wise. So that presented some interesting issues. However, I navigated that fairly well. I dug myself a hole early in the week with the weekend. And so I don't know if other people can relate to this, but when my wife and kids take off for the weekend and I have the house to myself as the bachelor pad, I tend to go a little bit, I enjoy my freedom. And so one of the ways in which
Bachelor Jeff is back in the house.
Yeah. And something takes over, man. I don't know. I think it took me to a different level of temptation that was almost insurmountable. I think it was insurmountable at that time. So
what did you do that weekend? Give me some insight into when you got into that frame of mind. The frame of mind is that no one's around. I'm by myself.
Yep.
I'm getting these temptations to have food that I otherwise would not have if people were here. Yep. So what were you tempted with? Did you resist any of it? Did you decide to just indulge in everything? And what did it consist of?
Yeah, I got my money's worth, man. It was not a good look when it comes to weight loss, that's for sure. And I almost attempted fate to see how much damage would be done. So, thinking, I guess I've been, on this, I've been making positive traction for so long. I was thinking, well, one rough day wouldn't do so much damage, right? So I ordered myself pizza, and I got a thin crust pizza because I like them. Every once in a while I can deal with that. So I thought, well, that's the logical way, going with the heavy, pan style or whatever that might be. So got the thin crust pizza and got chicken on it, So and then of course I got a baked dessert with that, the brownie. The brownie pizza box, like 9 brownies. And
I don't know
yeah, I
anything
went.
about that.
You don't
What is
know
this
anything about
brownie
that.
pizza bar? What exactly is
It's like
that? Just
it's
describe.
like a it's like a the size of a small pizza, but it's
Uh huh.
a square, but like 9 cut into 9 brownies. Like if your mom baked
Ooh,
a batch of brownies and cut it into 9, yeah, that's what
really?
it is. Yeah,
This is at a pizza shop
it is.
that sells brownies and along with the pizza. I never saw that combination anywhere in my entire life, so I
I
didn't even know
know
it was
you.
available. But
I'm the one
if
who
anyone's going to
poisons you
find
with
it, it
these
would be
things.
you. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure most of the world knows where to get this stuff, but
Mm,
I'm the one that poisons you with these ideas. Um,
well,
but
I'll
yeah,
never get
yeah,
that one out of my mind.
yeah, yeah, it's a good one. So this is like just too easy. It's an easy button on my
Hmm.
phone to get this stuff. And so,
Did you eat all 9?
oh yeah, I mean, so like this was like 2 meals, lunch and dinner on
Hmm.
the weekend on a Saturday, right? When the family's gone and I'm indulging, and so I'm trying to think. I actually, I'm a big fan of Coca-Cola, and I did not get the regular Coke. I actually withheld on that. Um, so I got a Diet Coke with that. And I haven't been drinking soda at all for a long time. So, so I was trying to just go through the motions of, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I might as well just see what kind of damage I'm going to do if I have like a cheat day, if I do. So I did that, and I enjoyed myself quite thoroughly that day, as you can tell. And then I weighed in the next day, and it was tragic, tragic results. And I came all the way up to 345 the next day.
Hmm.
I couldn't believe
Hmm.
what I was looking at. So
You were retaining a
that kicked
ton
me.
of water weight from those carbs. You carved out to the max. You threw in all the carbs from the pizza, all the carbs from the brownie, so your body was holding on to a significantly more amount of water than it otherwise would. If you have a normal weigh-in period of a week and you're relatively stable on your diet, your water weight should be the same from week to week when you weigh in or comparable. But if you eat a huge amount of carbs like you did over those 2 meals, and then the very next day you weigh in, your water weight is going to shoot up because the carbs in your system are absorbing or holding on to that water. So you'll automatically end up weighing a few pounds more, which is tragic. I mean, to see that
It was
it's
devastating.
deflating
It was
because
devastating.
you associate what you ate directly with that amount. So when you see it go up, you said it went up 4 pounds. When you see it go up 4 pounds from where you were the last weigh in one day after 2 meals, you equate in your head, if I go on a week's vacation and I eat like this for a week, you know, I'll end up gaining, 30 pounds or
Right.
28 pounds. I mean, it's like,
I know
it's
that
just
that
very,
can't be
very
true.
deflating. It's like, do I have to? Yeah, it's not, but you just, that's the only evidence that you have. The only evidence you have
Right.
is looking at the scale the day after you ate that and then doing a computation in your head. I can't get away with anything. Like
Yeah.
I have fun for one day and suddenly I'm back to what I was 2 weeks ago. Like that,
Yeah.
that seems unfair. So,
Yeah.
but in reality, as we can tell, with the current weigh-in, you were down zero point 0.9 from the week prior, which shows you that that was water weight. You're not going to be gaining by eating the way that you did. It was 9 brownies, so I'm not going to say that no percentage of that could be fat. Okay, I'm not going to make that claim. Most of it was not. The vast majority of that weight gain was just water retention.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. I was quite concerned at the moment then, and so that actually knocked me back into gear for the remainder of the week.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so I actually, even though it's concerned that it was 0.9 over the course of the week, I feel like there is a little bit of a renewed focus and a little bit more like optimism that like there's still more playing that I need to do to really hone in on what's going to be the actual lockdown, like consistency pattern of like what foods at what times or like what days are going to actually be like, the rhythm that's going to consistently work. But I feel like I'm getting closer to that point. And another thing, I guess I have a question for you is like timing of the day. Like, later in the day, if I do lighter meals, that a good thing? I feel like that's a big deal. Yeah. Like
it is a good
I
thing.
feel like
It's not the most important thing. If your total daily intake is going to be, let's say, you're 1,400 calories. Let's just use that as a number, 1,400 calories, and you had most of your food in the early part, or more of your food in the early part, and then, or versus more of your food in the later part. It would be better to have more of your food in the earlier part of the day, but it's not going to be a make or break. It's going to be to your benefit. So you can over time have better progress doing that, just because you tend to burn more calories earlier in the day because you're at work, you're moving around at night, you're sedentary. So if you eat more calories at night when you're not doing anything, those calories tend to sit around more easily than if you were to eat them at breakfast, if you were to eat them at lunch, if you eat them earlier in the day where you're still moving around, you're still at work, you still have activities that you have to perform that are physical, and mental. So yeah, it would be better if you could time it so that things would happen earlier. But on the flip side, there are some people who have a very, very difficult time being able to stay on a diet plan that would rob them of their dinner, because typically people look forward to going home after a hard day's work and eating everything in sight, because it helps them to unwind, it helps them to relax, it helps them to forget about what they endured, it helps them to not have to think about the next day. So they look forward to dinner, and sometimes it's just dinner with family. We have a big dinner. It's just a nice gathering. So that habit is very hard to break for many individuals. So I would never say you have to go on a diet plan where dinner is your smallest meal, because that would sabotage the efforts of the vast majority of people who would ever want to burn fat. So I'm not saying that has to be the way that it is. What I am saying is if you are going to make a conscious effort to say, I'm going to restructure my meals in such a way that's going to be best for fat burning, then I would say try and get more of your calories in earlier in the day, and then keep the dinner as small as you feel that you can in order to be able to, because you're just going to go to bed soon thereafter. So it would be better to shift those calories earlier, but it's not a make or break issue. I don't want you to sacrifice your consistency because you have to reduce dinner to a point where you feel as if you're missing something major after leaving work and going home, and it's a hindrance, and it actually increases your temptation to do more damage the next day. I don't want that to happen. What I want is to make sure you have to monitor your own thought process as you go through this to make sure that you understand this is triggering me or this is not triggering me, and then let me know about that, and we can make a change based on how you feel.
Yeah, there's definitely days where I feel the need to have the larger dinner, and then there's other days where I feel like I can tolerate a more modest dinner. And I've just kind of observed that I feel lighter, literally feel lighter in the morning the next day. And so that's what so okay. That's good to know.
It's absolutely better. It's if you can do that, it would be a better approach for your. If you measure fat loss on a continuum and you look at 3 months out, and what's my fat loss going to be in 3 months if I have a lighter dinner or a heavier dinner, there's going to be a noticeable difference between those numbers. It's not week to week, you're not going to notice a dramatic shift. It's not going to double because you're doing that. But it's going to be enough that it will over time accumulate to the point where it would be something that you should adopt if you feel psychologically you're able to endure it. And if you feel as if there's certain days where, yes, today I want to go home and have a larger meal. I feel as if it's a necessity because my day at work is going to be jam packed. I need something to look forward to. I need something to focus on once I leave work. Try to account for that in the prior meals of the day by making them lighter.
Yep.
So you don't, because that's what will end up happening. If you have a big dinner, but you're just kind of leaving it to chance, you'll end up getting to a point where maybe that day you begin assuming that dinner is going to be light, but then you change your mind midway through and decide I'm going to have a big dinner, and then that day is a rather large day from start to finish. So if you can account for it the day before, just going into that next day, like I want to shift things around. Like today, I want to have the larger dinner, so I'm going to lighten things up earlier in the day, so that way my total consumption for the day is approximately what it otherwise would be. If it were reversed, then that would be to your benefit.
Awesome. And then there was a day where I did not meet my, like I was lower on the protein, but I was lower probably on a lot of things, and it seemed to go better as well. That was yesterday. I was lower on protein. I ate a lot of celery and peanut butter throughout the day, in the middle of the day, and that was actually satisfying.
Okay.
And like I didn't have meat where I normally would in the middle of the day.
That's fine, because the meat is a tool to be able to fill you up and try to prevent you from consuming too many carbs, because you're filling yourself up with protein. So therefore, you don't have as much room to aim for the added carb calories that you would normally consume. But if you have something like a peanut butter and celery combination, what's consistent about that with the recommendations that I've made is that it's low carb as long as you get the right peanut butter. You don't want to have a peanut butter that's loaded with sugar. You want to have the carbs low in the peanut butter, but the peanut butter would be low carb, high fat, and then the celery would have no calories. So you would be consuming essentially a high fat source with very low carbs, which is consistent with what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to keep your insulin levels as low as possible. You do not need to go out of your way to consume protein at those meals. You don't have to consume protein with that celery and peanut butter combination. I think the celery and peanut butter is like a dessert. It's like a snack. It's like something that would be almost considered a candy bar that is consistent with what we're trying to achieve, because the candy bar, unlike the celery and peanut butter, is going to have a ton of sugar and lots of carbs, and that's the reason why it's going to set you back if you grab a Snickers as opposed to the celery and peanut butter. So the fact that you like that, I would definitely integrate that into the diet a couple times a day. And it doesn't just have to be the celery and peanut butter. You can come up with other options that are consistent with that. But since you like that one, that's one you should focus on. And I know when I find something I like, I can consume it on a regular basis and be satisfied with it when it's something. And I'm a big fan of peanut butter too. So I know you have something like that, you can look forward to it on a regular basis. That makes things a lot easier. So the protein, you're not going to live off the celery and peanut butter 4 times a day, but the protein can be a part of those other meals. But the celery and peanut butter is that snack where, and I think maybe you get yourself in a situation where if you think that I have to aim for that protein every meal, so it's hard for me to get that protein, or maybe my appetite is not so high to be able to consume that protein for this meal. So I'm getting hungry, but I don't really want that. So then I'm getting hungry for something else, and that something else is not something you should be eating. But you have the celery and peanut butter, which is something you can eat that's not high protein, but it's consistent with keeping your insulin levels low, It's not going to be super high calorie because you're going to be consuming an amount that's a snack portion of it. You're not going to be consuming a jar of peanut butter, I'm assuming. I guess I
Right.
should have asked first. Okay,
Yeah,
so
you're right.
yeah, so that's going to be good. I think that's your asset. It fills you up. The fat fills you up. It's a good source. The protein and the fat are both good sources of calories to fill your stomach. And that's the reason why I want you to gravitate towards protein and fat and stay away from the carbs. If you can do that, this is going to work. And a meal does not need to be super high in protein, and balance out the rest with fat. It could be the other way around. It could be high in fat and just eat some protein, or don't eat protein at all. Like in those meals with the celery and peanut butter, there's really you're not a bodybuilder at this stage. You're not lifting weights. You don't have to worry about getting X amount of protein to build muscle. That's not something that you need to worry about. So you don't have to be tracking protein per se. The rule is simply, if you can keep this in your mind, I'm going to grab the protein. If for some reason I can't access the protein, or I don't want the protein, I don't feel as if I'm in the mood for it, but I do want something, a snack like the celery and peanut butter is perfect.
That's awesome. Yeah, that seemed to be a positive, and I feel like with that working for me, I think this is going to be a better week. I really do.
Good. Yeah. It's so important. We all have our individual tastes and desires, and experimenting like that and coming up with anything that fits the criteria that I've just described. It's high protein or high fat. And then just mix and match those combinations to come up with what you feel you gravitate towards. And that would be a perfect example of something that you can integrate into the diet, look forward to, and that'll help you during the times where you have cravings, because peanut butter is delicious. Large amount of people know what I'm talking about. It's something that you can look forward to. So you end up having that, and knowing you can have that, and knowing you don't have to restrict yourself to avoiding the foods, because you've taken a lot off the table that you would normally gravitate towards in times like these. So having meals that are consistent with what you're trying to achieve, yet they do make you happy. They have enough taste, enough flavor, and they fill you up enough that you'll be able to consume them and really look forward to it. I think that's the key to making this sustainable long term.
Yeah, pretty important. I don't, a lot of this stuff, 5 out of the 7 days I work, so
Yep.
sometimes 6. So yeah, a lot of it, I need to be satisfied and not, not be feeling unsatisfied, for lack of a better word. I just need to be not feeling like I need more or something different. I need to be just at least good with it. And
Yes.
so far, yeah. I mean, I think that will, like you say, that'll kind of be a suitable substitute, because I am guilty of having a hankering for candy bars. But like, if there's no candy bar there next to me and I've got celery and peanut butter, accessible, that works. It just works. So
Yes, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's great. I integrate that on a regular basis for this next week.
If they were side by side next to each other, I'd probably go to the candy bar. But if I can,
that's the reason why
keep myself away from the candy bar, and I have the celery and peanut butter by my side, then let's roll. Let's go.
I suggest you just bring the celery and peanut butter to work with you. If you do that, if that's the only thing that's available that you can see that's within arm's reach, I think you'll probably grab it.
Yeah.
That's usually the way it works. So that's something that I think is really going to be very, very helpful to you over the next week, because it's something now that that you're going to be able to use on a regular basis. Outside of that one day, was that one day Saturday, the day of the brownie festival, and
that was There might have, I'm trying to think. I think that was pretty much it. I think that was enough to freak me out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once you weighed yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So so that was one day, and then the rest of the days were probably consistent with what you had been doing to achieve your 2 pounds a week. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh,
On that level, I mean, like, it's been a little bit of variation from time to time, like, but like salad, I had more salad this week.
mhm.
Um, Sometimes with meat thrown into it, other times not. But salad this week. What else? I had bacon for breakfast quite often,
Mhm.
just strips of bacon. Um,
Good.
yeah, I actually had a
Good.
McDonald's breakfast one morning, and yeah, I did okay. I
Which
mean, I
morning
still,
was this? Do you remember? Remember which
yeah.
day? Every day?
I'm gonna shock you. I'm gonna shock you with this. Ready?
He's going to
Yesterday.
say Thursday. Yesterday. Okay. So you had how much? Is it the? Let me clarify. Is it the deluxe big breakfast, or is it
It,
the a s- two of them? Or is I don't know what we're
it,
dealing with here.
no,
You got to give me a description. I don't normally
it was.
have that for
Yeah, I know.
breakfast. So
I don't even know if you're familiar with their breakfast options,
oh,
but
I've
it
had the
was the
deluxe big breakfast before. Yes, someone introduced me to that, so I have had that before, and it's I could understand having a craving for that while you're following a diet. I don't shame you at all for that. I just want to know
yeah.
which one
So
did you have and how much of
the
it.
people, the people that speak my language who might be listening, I
Oh,
guess, would be the number two, which is the
okay.
sausage McMuffin meal.
Hmm.
Uh, so you got the
McMuffin. Now
two
that tells me it has sausage and it has a
egg and
muffin,
cheese.
so it's got a
There's a
something
muffin. Yeah,
bagelish, muffinish type of
bagel's
carb
strong. Bagel's a
laden
strong
substance.
word. Bagel's a
Okay,
strong word. It's not that heavy. It's like an English muffin.
I got you. Okay, yeah, I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
envision that. So
yeah.
that had a so it obviously I don't know exactly what I don't know that you looked it up, but I'm assuming the carb content is higher than the 50 grams a day that you
This
had
this is
that you were
why.
attempting to.
Well, and then there's a nice crispy hash brown that comes with it.
Okay, that's definitely above the 50.
This
Okay.
this is what led me to ask you because that
Yep.
was first thing in the morning, right? And
Yes.
so I still managed to have a good day because like and at dinner all I had was two grilled chicken breasts. That was it.
Hmm.
That was it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
The afternoon was
If,
all celery
yes.
and peanut butter. That was all I had the
Yeah.
whole day. But I had that
Yeah.
one breakfast and the celery and peanut butter and then two grilled chicken breasts for dinner and that was it. So
Yeah. You
um
kept it in that particular day. You kept your dinner high protein, low carb, which is going to be the best possible combination for weight loss.
yep,
Then after that, and then prior to that, you had the breakfast, which was high in carb and fat, but then the celery and peanut butter was low carb. So you really stripped the carbs out of the rest of your day, and you had them all in the first meal. Which,
yep.
if you're going to have carbs, if you're going to have carbs as part of this plan, if you confine them to meal number one, that would be the best approach of all. To say if you're going to have a day where you feel you need some carbs or you want some carbs or you can't live without carbs, and then you that first meal would be the best time to be able to have those carbs because then you got the day to burn them off. In addition, you're keeping carbs low the rest of the day. You're making a conscious effort to make up for that. So your carb level being lower the rest of the day is going to help you to start burning off fat once those carbs are gone.
This knowledge is
So
golden right
so
here,
that's
man.
something that is something that you can do. I would be hopeful that that the experiment does not carry over to a 7 day time frame. But if this is something you could do, what if you did this, what we just described, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and on Tuesday and Thursday, you were 100% committed to how we started this whole process, which was 50 grams of carbs or less a day, fat and protein. for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you would have the liberty to do something like we just described, you know, your carb breakfast or being a little more, have a little more latitude. But Tuesday and Thursday, you become Spartan, 100% focused, dedicated. Nothing can deviate from this diet on this day, no matter what. I don't care how late I have to stay at work. I don't care how many phone calls I get from people nagging me to do things I don't want to do. I'm going to do this no matter what, twice a week. And the rest of the time, okay, I'm going to be looser. I'm going to try my breakfast in the morning and see how that goes.
I thought you embraced my adventurous
I
experimental.
did. I am. I'm giving you 3 days plus the weekend. That's 5 days. I'm asking for 2 days out of 7. I think I'm being very reasonable. 2 days out of 7 where you say, all right, commitment 100%, 2 days. And I'm not
Well,
even saying back-to-back days. I'm intentionally picking 2 days that are apart from one another. So that way you don't have to say
Can I
48 hours worth. That would be insurmountable.
can I ask what you theorize would happen if I repeated 7 days that in a row of what just happened
Yesterday,
successfully? Yeah.
I, I feel as if to achieve the best possible results, um, I want to try and negotiate a way for you to feel as if I have the latitude to be able to do what you just described and have something that I really don't consider as part of a diet plan, at least one that's supposed to burn fat, and have that breakfast, have that kind of breakfast, that McDonald's breakfast, and then go on and be confident that I'm achieving results. And I think the best way to do that is to have a couple of days mixed into that week where I just say, all right, I'm going to just, for these 2 days, I'm going to be 100% committed to try and create momentum as a result of that. You could definitely, I see no reason why. Well, I do see a reason why. There is a reason why, because it depends on what you do those days. Like with that kind of breakfast, it depends what you do the rest of the day. That there would be variables there that could change depending on your mood and depending on what's available. So you could end up potentially doing that and not achieving results that week. Or even going backwards. It just depends what you do the rest of the day. If you mimic what you just described, you had a breakfast like that from McDonald's, you did the peanut butter and celery and had a chicken breast dinner with a salad, with low carb, everything other than breakfast. Chances are, if you did that you would continue to lose weight. And if you want to find out how much, you could do that this week. And that would be an experiment that you would, from now till then, be able to actually determine what kind of results did this produce doing exactly that. I don't know if you could be consistent with that. You tell me. If it's something you actually wanted to try and see, like I kick off my breakfast this way, and then the rest of the day, I'm going to be no carb basically, or low, very, very, very low carb the rest of the day. I'm getting all my carbs in meal number 1. If you wanted to try that, you could do it. Would you do that consistently? Would you just do that certain days? What do you propose to me? Because I hate to break it to you, but you're the one following the diet. So there's only so much that I can do
aware
from my end. I want to see what you're willing to do and get excited about for this week, because I think every week is an experimentation chamber. Okay. You've lost weight every single week and you're down 14 and a half pounds. I think that's excellent. I think that's something to celebrate. So to continue the momentum, what do you want to try this week? What do you want to do that you feel you can get behind and get really pumped up about, and see what the next 7 days bring?
You know, I'm a fun-loving guy.
You are very.
I want to have as much fun as possible, and I feel like I want, after we've talked today, I feel like, I've learned a little bit about where I can have the most leeway, or get away with the most fun and still possibly have progress. So it seems like if I'm strict in the evening and I may have more latitude in the morning. Yesterday I felt, I think the heartier breakfast, I think it had impact on my appetite throughout the rest of the day. I had a fairly active day and I didn't feel like I was starving throughout the day. I was satisfied with the lunch of the celery and peanut butter. And then I came home and I had 2 pieces of grilled chicken and then it was good, so I feel like there's something to be said for trying this out one week and just seeing how it rolls. And, maybe I just need to keep an eye on it, every couple of days to make sure I'm not doing harm.
No, no, you do not have to keep an eye on it. And I know what it is. And you specifically used the word it to be able to hide exactly what it is from me, but I already know what it is. It is the scale. And the scale, which is it, will only be used once a week. What you will do, because that can just throw psychologically, it could throw you into a tailspin in every which way. And I
What
don't
would
want
ever
that
make
to
you think
happen.
that?
I don't know. Somebody clued me in on that long, long time ago. I have a lot of evidence to back me up. We can get into that at a later date. I can organize everything chronologically if you'd like, but I think
We're
what you
good.
should do is if you feel as if, because you described something that was very profound. You said you had the breakfast, you were satisfied with it, you were not hungry the rest of the day. Hunger was not pestering you to do anything that would be uh, apart from the recommendations of this diet for the remainder of the day after that breakfast. You had the celery and peanut butter, which is low carb, and you had the dinner, which was low carb with the chicken salad. So if you do this consistently, what kind of results will it bring you? And I want to just make sure that you realize that I'm not banning you from the scale only because of the possible repercussions of revealing the truth to you earlier than 7 days and prior to our meeting. That's not why. It's because day to day fluctuations in weight do not tell you a thing, because with the water weight the way it is, and just it needs to have, you need to have time, a certain amount of time, and 7 days is the minimum amount of time that you can really use to judge what direction you're headed in doing anything, because one or 2 days is just not going to be enough to determine the impact, positive or negative, of any change you make in the diet. So I'd like for you to go an entire week, which means, is this something that you'd like to try for the entire week, where you have a breakfast that's a liberal minded breakfast where you can just do whatever it is you feel you need to do within reason? I mean, it's going to be a breakfast. It's not going to be a breakfast, lunch, and dinner in one meal. Okay, we're going for just a breakfast at breakfast, and then have the peanut butter, celery, the light dinner with protein, high protein salad. Would you be willing to do that for the week, or do you feel as if this is going to grow old quick? It was just something I want to try every now and then, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, or is it something you want to try for the entire week?
I think I'm up for trying that the whole week.
All right, dude. All right, man. So am I. So am I, because it made you feel good. And that's, we different things attract our attention, attract our desire. Um, Everybody responds differently to the same type of diet plan emotionally, and emotions drive so much of what we do. Discipline needs to be used to try to move past the emotion that's pulling us in the wrong direction. But honestly, what if emotion can work with us at achieving the goal that we're working towards? Imagine if emotion could drive us towards doing something, some type of diet that actually helps us to lose weight. Wouldn't that be the greatest combination that you could
It
possibly come up
does.
with?
And that would
Yes.
be
So why
wonderful.
not? Right. And that's the whole point. That's the reason why we're going through this exercise. Right now, you found something that made you happy. It definitely made you happy for one day. It was something that, and not only did it make you happy, but it said you felt better the next day, you felt lighter. It seemed like it controlled hunger. Why not? Why not have that breakfast, that liberal breakfast, the breakfast that's going to give you something you would not normally have as part of a weight loss diet, a traditional weight loss diet, and then get strict for the rest of the day on low carbs, strict meaning low carb the rest of the day, and try that out for the entire week.
I'm glad to get your sample approval on that. I was
So
nervous
you're
about bringing that
100%
up.
committed. No, no, dude, don't be nervous. That's the one thing we're doing these videos for you and for everyone else. We want to make sure that anything that goes through your head comes into that microphone. I want to hear it. If it's a feeling,
Terrible
if
thing
it's
to go
a
through
thought,
online.
if it's a recommendation that you are making to me, I want you to say it, because that's the only way that we can discuss it and determine whether it's worth trying. And I'm open to anything that you feel is motivating you to move forward. Why not try
I
it?
dream
Why
fat
not?
kid
What's
thoughts,
there? What
man.
do we have to lose, huh?
I dream fat kid thoughts, man. You can't relate to my dreams all the time. You
Dude,
don't
tell
understand
me
the
a
fat
little
kid
bit.
life.
Tell me about the fat kid that lives between these ears. Well, it's actually lives between these ears and from neck to toe right
Well,
now.
you
but
you know,
we're trying to get rid of that part of it. But that
it,
fat man that lives between the ears
I mean,
remains, right? I want to know
it
more about
does.
him. I want to know
I
what
Yeah.
drives him. Tell me
Look,
the thought process walking into, as we were talking about the last episode, walking
yeah.
into a convenience store
I know.
and on a drive, and you got the candy bar sitting there, and you could pick a
I mean,
protein bar, you could pick beef jerky or something that would be more consistent with the goal, but you grab the candy bars instead.
it's
What goes through your head? Is there a process where you deliberate? Is there just the temptation is there and it's like, I'm just going in that aisle. I'm not even thinking about the other options. Is
pretty
it
much.
that I'm just justifying? Does it what? That's it. So
It it's
I
almost
hit the nail on the
automatic.
head.
It's like
Yeah.
automatic. Yeah. It's just
Yeah. So there's no
like that's
resistance.
my
You
section.
don't put right. Right.
We've gone into convenience stores together, right?
Yes.
Like, and
Yep.
you have a section you go to. You're
And you
instantly
go to the
looking for the
opposite section. I
protein
know.
section, right? And it's
Yep.
like you're a one-track mind. That's where you're going. You're not even attracted to other junk. And then, like, I immediately, it doesn't even require a thought, man. My body is just magnetized to the candy section. And really, in my past life, the soda. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like just junk. I have
Well, it
actually
makes
come down to reality on the drinks. I get it that the drinks are just like empty calories. I get it, and I've found some discipline on the drinks. I really have. Like, I'm drinking water, unsweet tea. Occasionally, rare occasions, I'm drinking like a diet soda, and that's about it. Like, everything's no calorie for drinks.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah, like
That's a huge
I'm
shift.
like I'm there, and I'm drinking a lot of water. So that was like a huge hurdle to climb. You know that from years, but like I just don't know how. I don't know how that mindset will change when I go into a convenience store, that I'm not going to be pulled in by the candy bar section.
Well, the reason that you're pulled in is because one, let's keep it simplistic, it tastes good.
It does.
And two, it makes you feel good. And three, your brain has associated that candy bar with feeling good. And so if I have that candy bar, it's going to make me feel good. So anytime I walk in a convenience store, why should I not have that candy bar if I'm going to feel good? The only thing that prevents me from going into that aisle and picking that candy bar and instead going into the aisle that you never go into and picking the alternative is because looking good makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And so on the priority scale, to me, if I go into that aisle and have the candy bar, I will feel a sense of guilt because I've done something that's very temporary that lasts a very short period of time. I mean, you'll concur that eating a candy bar is not a 3-hour endeavor. I mean, you're eating a candy bar,
Right.
it's done in about 5 minutes, if that, maybe
Eh,
for you,
No,
about
yeah,
30 seconds. It's gone.
probably.
So so you've consumed all those calories in a short period of time, and then I'm left with the thoughts that last a lot longer than it took me to consume that candy bar, that say, what have I done? Why did I do that? Why? I mean, was it worth it for that length of time? Because I'm preserving something else inside of me that's important. And that's, I prop up my self esteem based on my appearance. So that became important to me long ago. I mean, not as long as food became important to you ago, but it was in my teens when I became focused on bodybuilding. So that became more of an important goal to me than getting the feel good flavor from the foods that it is that that you were normally consuming.
Yeah.
So I would gravitate towards not eating those foods on a regular basis because it was more important to me to maintain a certain look, because that's what made me feel good. It made me feel better than I felt eating those foods on a regular basis, because then there would be a consequence. For me, the consequence is, if I eat like this, I'm not going to look good. And therefore, I'm losing something that's important to me. Whereas for you, if you eat like this, and you're 355 pounds instead of 350 pounds, who cares? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. At this point in time, there is no connection between, I'm going to eat this food and I'm going to lose something. What am I going to lose? I'm not losing anything. I'm
Right.
already in mid threes. It's not really concerning to me whether I'm that weight or whether I'm lower. It's not that important. It's more important for me to be able to satisfy that desire and feel good through the food than it is to get the results out of not eating that food and then looking better physically. So it just never became a priority for you. And so and I can tell you, if I were in that same situation, if I never started bodybuilding, if I never had an interest in weightlifting and in seeing what I could do in building muscle and burning fat, I would be in the same situation that you're in, as far as eating, just randomly eating foods that taste good just for the sake of having a good time and feeling better and counteracting stress. I'd be in the same situation. Well, very few people are really immune to it. It's just that they have to have a goal that's more important to them than experiencing that temporary high from consuming something that's going to be high in fat and high in carbs, something that they know is going to not benefit them physically. They have to have a goal that's more important. And for me, I've had that goal for so long that it's very easy for me to walk into a convenience store and pick the aisle with the protein bars or the beef jerky or something that's high protein, something that's low carb, something that's consistent with my diet, because it's important for me to maintain the physique that I've built, and that's part of my life. For you, that's not part of your life. So what's stopping you? What does it matter? It doesn't. And most people who are having a difficult time with maintaining a healthy body weight are not thinking of the consequences of, it could shorten my lifespan, I could get a disease, because ultimately you're doing that for a reason. You're grabbing that food to feel good and trying to predict if my life is going to end 20 years too early because I'm 100 pounds overweight and I'm eating certain types of foods and candy bars every day. That's not how people live their lives. They live their lives in the moment. If I'm having a desire, if I want to feel good now and I know this works, I'm going to do it, unless there's an immediate reason for me not to do it. For me, the immediate reason is, I know after I do it, I'm going to feel bad because I have a goal that's more important than temporarily feeling good with the food, and that's looking good. And that's its own dysfunction that we can talk about later. That goes in another direction. That can become body dysmorphic. You can become like just really, really fixated on appearance to the point where it becomes toxic and destructive. So that's something that needs to be kept in check too. But it's an explanation as to why it's happening. So that way you understand that you're not alone. And anybody could be prone to this unless they have a reason not to be, because it can be ingrained in all of us. So it's just something for you, the desire to do something that is the opposite of what that's giving you needs to become the more important priority. And what we're trying to do in these videos, and we're trying to do week to week, is to come up with a balance where you can have fun, where you can enjoy yourself, where you can look forward to your meals, while at the same time preserving your health, losing weight, looking better. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Is to try to come up with a hybrid combination that works perfectly well for you.
Yep. I love all of
Man.
it, man. I thank you so much, dude, because I appreciate your patience with me, man. I'm learning as we go. It's different now than it was 25 years ago. It's a little bit more challenging in a lot of ways. I'm a lot heavier than I was before, so it's a more daunting chore. But like, I'm focused, and you help motivate me, and you're giving me the opportunity to have some freedom, do things, and flexibility helps too. So I know it's slow progress at times, but we're gonna get in the 330s this week, man. It's gonna happen.
I love it. I love the confidence, man. I'm 100% on board with you. I think it's going to happen. I really do. And I really want you to know that I am proud of you for, one, showing up each and every week, two, for putting forth the effort, three, for trying to counteract habits that you've had for your entire life, and making a commitment each and every week to doing whatever is necessary to make that happen. And I think that's motivational to anybody who's going to follow in your footsteps. And there's many people out there that are in a situation where they just don't know where to turn. They don't know what to try. They don't know where to go. You can come up with a realistic plan. You really can. Everyone's different, but I just appeal to everybody. Don't just think that you're doomed to the status quo, because you're not. You can do something different.
If I can do this, anybody can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And think about it. Think about what you're doing. You're not making these radical, and that's why we're not going down the path of making these dramatic changes that are unrealistic to maintain, because that's what leads to failure. That's what's going to push you away from wanting to do this for any length of time. We're trying to make changes that are realistic for you. Yep. Not for anyone else, not for me, not for anyone watching this video, but for you. It's an individual plan. It's a plan that works for your personality, for your preferences. And that's why we're doing this week to week. Because week to week, I want people to see that the commitment you make to doing what's necessary, it accumulates. We're 14 and a half pounds down. 14 and a half pounds down for you is excellent. We're headed in the right direction. Trying to come up with what the best approach is going to be for you to do on a weekly basis. We're getting there. We're getting there every week. You're getting closer and closer and closer. You're finding out how your body responds. You're finding out what the challenges of the work environment and home life is. That's going to present some opportunities for you to make some changes, so that way you're able to adapt this into every aspect of your life. And that's the reason why we meet here, to be able to talk about that and come up with any strategies necessary to tweak things, so that way it becomes the perfect plan for you. And that's what we're working towards.
You give me the focus, you give me the advice. I could not do this by myself, man. I appreciate you so much.
Well, you don't have to, because I'm going to be every single week. I'm going to be here. You're going to be here. We're going to be here together, and we're going to get this done as a team. So I love you, man. I love you so much.
Love you too.
Thank you for all the effort you're putting forth. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, brother. You're the best brother ever, dude.
Every week I need an update as to whether that's still the case.
It's still the case.
You're sure? I just wonder, as this goes on, if you'll end up changing your opinion on that. There's so much to learn from your perspective, because I'm not in your shoes.
Yeah, all the people that are watching us.
They relate to you, not me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I here?
If all the things you never show, there are the things I want you to know. Secrets start in your heart so slow, but if you